So looking at this system, the first thing I'm going to do is to take off points. I'm going to push this branch point. I'm going to push it over to this place. So I'll be pushing this branch point over to this place. So look at how I'm going to do it now. So I'll have a row of x. I'll be having plus minus g1 minus plus g2, and here we have another summing point, plus minus, we have g3, and so I'll move this to g4. Let's C of x. So now, moving this point to this place, what we have is, this is our H2, which is connected to there. So what we are having is, so remember that this line is made up of two lines. These two lines, we have one here, and we also have another one, but we are joining them together with this. So what we'll be having is, we'll be having G1, G4, H1. So that's what we'll be having here. So the reason is that we added the actual gain. Whenever we move a line to come before the block, so we are going to add what? We are going to add the actual gain. So the actual gain was added, and we multiplied them in series. So we combined them in series, which is multiplication. So what we have here is G4, H1. So we connect it over to this place. And also, remember, as I told you earlier, that there are two lines. So we also connect this. It simply means that this line also crossed G4. So what we'll be having here is what? We'll be having G4. So we are adding the actual gain also to this line. So this G4 now will be standing as a feedback to this. So this is it. So what we are going to do next is, we are going to resolve, we can be able to resolve this particular loop system now. We can be able to resolve this. So what we'll be having is, we say a row of x plus minus g1, we have minus, this is minus, we have minus plus G2. So resolving this now, what we'll be having is, this is a negative feedback. So resolving the negative feedback, we'll be having G3 all over 1 plus G3 H1 G4. So this is what we are going to be having. So now we will draw this line over here. So here is our what? G4. C of x. So we draw this line over here. We say H2. We fix it back to this place and draw this. So we can put back our G4 connected to this negative feedback. So now, the next thing we are going to do is, we are going to connect this now. You can see these two blocks are in series. So we'll combine them in series. So we will have a row of x plus minus G1 plus minus, we'll be having G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 H1 G4. This is our G4. So we still have, here is our H2 connected to this, and here is our what? G4 connected to this negative feedback. So the next step we are going to take is, first of all, we want to now resolve this particular loop. We want to resolve this now. This one in particular can be resolved. This one in particular can be resolved. You can see is a negative feedback. It's a negative feedback. So see how we are going to do it here now. We have a row of x plus minus. We have G1. So what we are going to get is, so in resolving this now, remember, don't forget the formula for a negative feedback is G all over 1 plus GH. So we want to resolve this particular loop now. So what we'll be having is G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1 all over 1 plus H2 G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1. So this is what we'll be getting. So here we have what we still write our what G4, and it's connected to this. So we have G4, which is connected to this negative feedback. Okay, so all we want to do is let's try and reduce this feedback part. So the next step we are taking is reducing the feedback part so that it will not be so complex for us. So we want to reduce this feedback part. So we say G2, we are writing this now, this in particular now, we are writing it over here. So we say G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1 all over 1 plus H2 G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1. So all we want to do now is, first of all, we'll take the LCM of this. So taking the LCM, we would have this all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1. So this divided by this times this, we have 1 plus G3 G4 H1 plus this divided by this is 1. So we'll be having 1 H2 G2 G3. So this is the LCM now. We have gotten this as the LCM. So we are going to exchange it with this. We are going to put this particular one, we are going to exchange it with this. So what we'll be having is G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1 plus H2 G2 G3 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1. So taking the reciprocal of this now, we'll be having G2, G3 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 times 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus H2, G2, G3. Sorry. So we'll be taking this one down over here. So we'll be having the last denominator. So we'll be having 1 plus G3, G4, H1 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus H2, G2, G3. So this will cancel this. We'll be having G2. We'll be having G2, G3 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus H2, G2, G3. So we have resolved this now. So we go further, we proceed further. We are going to put it like this. So we say plus minus. So we have G1, so we have G1 and we have this number, we have G2, G3, and let me draw it well. So we have this number, we have G2, G3. I'm putting this number into this box now. So we have 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus H2, G2, G3. So the next we still have what? We still have G4. We have G4. So connect it down here. Here we have G4. So we connect it to the negative feedback. So now the next step we are going to do is these two blocks are in series. So we'll be combining these two blocks in series. So we'll be having plus minus G1, G2, G3 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus H2, G2, G3. So combining them in series. So we have G4 over here. And here we have G4, C of X. So the next step we are going to take is now. So what we are going to do is to find this particular, we are going to make sure that we get this particular loop. So this is a negative feedback. It's a negative feedback. We are going to join this. We can now join this together. After we have finished resolving this, we will join them. We will now join this together. So we can resolve this particular system. So let's resolve this particular system. And we are going to call this our G4 is now going to act as our H feedback. So it will act as the H feedback. So let's resolve this now. We'll be having, what we'll be having is, if we resolve this now, we'll be having G1, G2, G3 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus G2, G3, H2 all over 1 plus G1, G2, G3 all over 1 plus G3 G4 H1 plus G2 G3 H2, then times our H over here, which is acting as our feedback, so times G4. So G4 now would act as our feedback H. So this is what we would have now. This is what we would have. So we still have what? We still have G4 over here. So C of X. Here we have arrow of X. So is to resolve this now. So using the former method, the way I showed you, when you take the LCM, you cross multiply, then cancel the denominator. So when you take the LCM of this now, what you'll be having, after you've taken the LCM and do everything, so what you'll be having is G1, G2, G3, all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus G2, G3, H2 plus G1, G2, G3, G4. So this is what you are going to be having. And here we have what? G4. So our arrow of X, our C of X, sorry. So our C of X all over arrow of X will be equals to. So these two now, we combine them in series. So we'll be having G1, G2, G3, G4 all over 1 plus G3, G4, H1 plus G2, G3, H2 plus G1, G2, G3, G4. So this will be the transfer function of the system.